The sun hung low over Tucson, Arizona, spilling orange light across the desert highway as the rumble of Harley engines echoed in the distance. The Hells Angels were wrapping up another long ride, dust rising behind their bikes like smoke trails. Among them rode Jack "Iron" Malone, a man whose name carried weight in every biker bar and border town from Phoenix to El Paso. Jack wasn't just a legend, he was a leader. Tough, loyal, and known for settling problems his own way. But off the road, he was just a father. His world began and ended with his daughter, Samantha Malone, a 22-year-old nursing student with bright eyes and a quiet strength. She had chosen a different life from her father's. No leather, no engines, no violence. Samantha worked part-time at a free medical clinic near the Mexican border, helping the poor and undocumented. She wanted to heal the world her father fought to survive in. That Thursday evening, Jack stopped by her apartment to drop off groceries. She laughed, hugged him, and told him she had a late shift at the clinic. "Don't wait up," she said. It was the last time he saw her smile. By morning, Samantha's friend Maya called Jack in tears. "Her car's still here. The clinic's a mess, Jack. There's blood." Jack's heart stopped. He raced across the desert in minutes, his Harley roaring like a storm. When he reached the clinic, police tape fluttered in the wind. The sheriff, Tom Dillard, stepped forward, hat in hand. "We're doing everything we can, Jack. Looks like a cartel message." "Maybe a robbery." Jack grabbed him by the collar. "You think this was random? You think they just picked her?" Dillard looked away. Everyone in town knew the Sinaloa faction had been moving more product through the Tucson corridor lately. They didn't like outsiders, especially anyone helping the locals for free. The clinic had treated overdose victims, women escaping cartel husbands, even a few who'd ratted out traffickers. Samantha had unknowingly stepped right into the middle of it. Jack stood by her blood-stained car, fists trembling. A small necklace lay on the ground, her silver angel pendant. He picked it up, staring at it for a long time before closing his hand around it. His jaw tightened. He wasn't going to the police anymore. That night, the Hells Angels gathered at their clubhouse on the edge of town. Cigarette smoke filled the room, and the air buzzed with tension. Jack slammed a photo of his daughter on the table. "They took my girl," he said in a low, dangerous voice. "They hurt family." The room fell silent. Then Diesel, his oldest brother in arms, leaned forward. "You tell us where, and we'll burn the desert to the ground." Jack looked around the room, dozens of men who'd ride through hell for him. "We ride at dawn," he said, voice shaking with rage. "They hurt the wrong man's daughter." The war had just begun. The first light of dawn crept over the Arizona desert as the Hells Angels gathered in silence outside their clubhouse. Dust swirled around the rows of gleaming Harleys lined up like soldiers ready for battle. Jack "Iron" Malone stood at the front, his leather vest patched with years of scars and loyalty. The silver angel pendant that once belonged to his daughter, Samantha, now hung from his neck, his reason to fight. They had spent the night gathering intel. One of Jack's old Army contacts, Ray Donovan, now working with the DEA, slipped him a file under the table. "Nogales," he said quietly. "There's a cartel compound out there, lots of movement lately. Word is they've got a hostage." That was all Jack needed to hear. By sunrise, 24 riders thundered out of Tucson, their engines roaring through the desert like a storm of vengeance. The wind whipped through Jack's hair as he led the convoy south, his mind filled with rage and fear. Every mile felt heavier, every second longer. All he could see was Samantha's face, bruised and scared, waiting for him to come. By mid-afternoon, the Angels reached the outskirts of Nogales, where the desert met the border fences and smuggler trails. From a rocky ridge, they spotted it, a walled compound surrounded by trucks and armed guards. Cartel banners flapped in the wind. Diesel squinted through binoculars. "That's them, brother. Sinaloa. Heavy guns, too." Jack checked his shotgun, the metal glinting in the sun. "We go in quiet," he said. "We get her out. Anyone in our way drops." They split into teams. 2 snipers took position on the ridge, while Jack led the main group through the rear fence under the cover of dusk. The air smelled of diesel and sweat. A guard turned the corner and never got the chance to shout. Jack's knife was quick and clean. Moments later, chaos erupted. A single gunshot shattered the silence, and the desert exploded with noise. Bullets ripped through the compound as engines revved and men screamed. The Hells Angels moved like ghosts, fast, precise, and merciless. Diesel took a hit to the shoulder but kept firing. Jack stormed through the main building, shotgun in hand. "Samantha!" he roared. A door creaked open down the hall, and he kicked it off its hinges. Inside, under flickering lights, he saw her, tied to a chair, bruised but alive. "Dad," she whispered, tears in her eyes. Jack dropped his weapon and rushed to her, cutting her free. He held her tight, trembling, whispering, "I've got you, baby. I've got you." But the sound of trucks outside snapped him back to reality. The cartel reinforcements had arrived, pickup beds loaded with men and machine guns. Diesel stumbled into the room, bleeding but grinning. "More company, boss." Jack stood up, cocked his shotgun, and looked at his brothers. "Then let's finish it." Engines roared again as the Angels mounted their bikes, guns blazing. Fire lit up the desert sky. What began as a rescue turned into a full-blown war. And when the smoke cleared, only one side was left standing. The desert was eerily quiet when the gunfire finally stopped. Smoke curled into the dawn sky, and the air smelled of gunpowder and burnt rubber. The Hells Angels stood among the wreckage, tired, bloodied, but victorious. Around them, cartel trucks lay in flames, bullet holes marking the end of a long night. Jack "Iron" Malone dropped to one knee, gripping the sand. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the weight of what they'd just done. Beside him, Samantha clung to her father, trembling. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Dad, it's over." Jack looked into her tear-streaked face and nodded, though deep down he knew it was never truly over. Revenge had a cost, and the desert had just claimed its price. Two of his brothers, Diesel and Snake, lay still in the dirt, their cuts patched with red dust. Jack walked over, kneeling beside Diesel's body. His old friend's hand still clutched his pistol, face frozen in a half-smile. "Told you we'd make 'em pay," Jack murmured, voice breaking. They buried their fallen under a lone mesquite tree as the sun rose, orange light spilling over the graves. No words were spoken, only the rumble of engines as helmets came off and heads bowed in silence. By the time law enforcement arrived, the Angels were gone. The DEA agents stared at the carnage, burned vehicles, crates of narcotics, cartel insignias shredded and burned. "What the hell happened here?" one muttered. Another agent kicked over a shell casing and sighed. "Looks like someone declared war." Days later, Jack sat by Samantha's hospital bed in Tucson. She was safe, bandaged, but alive. The sound of heart monitors beeped softly as he held her hand. "You're gonna be okay," he whispered. "They can't hurt you anymore." She looked at him, eyes heavy with emotion. "You didn't have to do this, Dad." Jack shook his head. "No, sweetheart. They hurt my world. I just made sure they never forget what that costs." Outside, a light rain began to fall, a rare thing in Arizona. To Jack, it felt like the desert itself washing away the blood, cleansing what was left of their souls. Weeks passed, and the story spread across the border. Rumors said a biker gang had taken down a cartel cell in one night. Some called it justice, others called it madness. But to the Hells Angels, it was family. One afternoon, a letter arrived at the clubhouse. No name, no return address. Just a folded note written in Spanish, "Debt paid in blood. We won't forget." Jack read it quietly, a grim smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. He tucked the note into his leather jacket, started his Harley, and revved the engine. The roar echoed through the desert once again, a warning to anyone who'd ever think of crossing the line. As he rode into the fading sun, the angel pendant around his neck caught the light, shining like a promise. No matter the cost, no matter the enemy, family always comes first.